It was supposed to be just another quiet morning at the gun range, until she picked up the rifle. That simple, silent moment would change everything. The calm of the range shattered. The casual smirks faded. And what happened next would echo far beyond that patch of Texas dust. They thought they'd seen everything. But no one expected the small woman at the end of the line to become the lesson they'd never forget. Before we share this remarkable story, we invite you to tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? And what does true strength mean to you? Backhand index pointing right if stories of quiet heroism and unexpected courage move you. Please like this video and subscribe to Everyday Quiet Heroes. Because sometimes, a single click helps a hero's voice be heard. The sun rose gently over the dusty fields of Brady Creek, a small town tucked away in central Texas. At the edge of town stood Cedar Ridge Gun Club, a place where veterans, hobbyists, and newcomers all came to test their skill. It wasn't a fancy place. Just a long stretch of ground, paper targets pinned to worn stands, and the steady rhythm of gunfire marking the passing hours. On that morning, the club was busy. A group of Marines on leave had come in for practice, tough, experienced, confident. Locals watched them with admiration. They were used to seeing these men at the range, their presence adding a certain weight to the air. And then she arrived. She didn't come with anyone. She didn't speak much. Just paid the fee, took a lane at the far end, and unpacked her rifle. A simple .308 bolt action, worn at the edges but well cared for. Her name was Emily Harper. Small in stature, with quiet eyes that seemed to miss nothing. Her clothes were plain old jeans, a gray t-shirt, boots that had seen better days. If anyone noticed her at first, it was only to glance and look away. Just another face at the range. But that would change soon enough. The Marines practiced at the center lanes. Their shots were confident, loud, and precise. They laughed, teased each other, swapped stories between rounds. Around them, others kept to themselves, trying not to stare, trying not to get in the way. And at the far end, Emily loaded her first round. No one noticed at first. The sound of a single rifle shot was lost among the rest. But then came another shot. And another. The rhythm was different, slower, more deliberate. And the impact on the targets, cleaner. One of the Marines noticed. A glance at her target. A raised eyebrow. Quiet words to a buddy. Soon, more eyes were drawn to the small woman at the end of the range. Her stance wasn't textbook. Her grip wasn't what instructors taught. But the results spoke louder than any critique. Groupings tight, shots dead center, distance increasing with each round. The Marines watched, their earlier laughter fading. She wasn't showing off. She wasn't even aware they were watching. She simply focused, breathed, and fired. The range grew quieter between shots, as if the air itself held its breath. And then, as Emily set up for a particularly long-distance shot, a gust of wind picked up, stirring the dust, rattling the targets. One of the Marines muttered something about bad conditions, too hard a shot for anyone. But Emily didn't waver. She adjusted. She waited. And when the wind dropped, she fired. The shot rang out. The target snapped back. Direct hit. At a distance most of them wouldn't have dared in those conditions. The silence that followed was heavier than any gunfire. What no one at the range knew was Emily's history. She had grown up in a military family. Father, 2 brothers, all Marines. She'd trained quietly, almost in secret, with her father before he passed. Never joined the service herself. Never saw combat. But she had learned patience, discipline, and focus. And she carried that with her every time she picked up a rifle. Her life had been marked by challenges. Caring for her ailing mother. Working 2 jobs. Sacrificing dreams to hold her family together. And through it all, the range had been her one place of peace. That morning, without meaning to, Emily reminded a group of battle-hardened men of something they'd forgotten. That strength doesn't always come with rank or uniform. Sometimes, it stands quietly at the end of the line, unnoticed until the moment it matters. What started as silent curiosity soon became something larger. Word spread across the range. Those who had dismissed the small figure at the end of the line now found themselves watching her every move. Even the staff, used to all kinds of sharpshooters, paused between tasks to catch a glimpse. It wasn't just the accuracy. It was the calm, the control, the almost meditative way she worked through each shot. Where others adjusted and fumbled and second-guessed in the wind, she seemed to feel the air itself, waiting for the right second, then sending the round exactly where it needed to go. A man near the back quietly pulled out his phone. Not to mock, Not this time. He recorded because something told him this was worth remembering. Emily kept shooting, unaware or perhaps uncaring of the attention. She wasn't there to impress. She was there because the sound of the shot, the feel of the rifle, the brief moment where the world narrowed to her, the target, and the breath between. These were her escape, her peace. And that's when the unexpected happened. A car pulled up at the edge of the lot. Out stepped an older Marine, retired, from the look of him, but still carrying himself with the kind of posture no civilian ever truly masters. His name was Colonel Mark Talbot, though few would have recognized him out of uniform. A legend in his own right, now living quietly nearby. He'd heard from a friend at the range, an offhand text, no details, just, "You need to see this." Talbot didn't expect much. Maybe some hotshot kid, maybe a novelty. But as he reached the viewing line and saw the target through the spotting scope one of the Marines offered him, he stopped short. Every Marine on that line stood a little straighter. Not because Talbot demanded it, because the atmosphere had shifted. They were no longer just watching a shooter. They were witnessing something rare. Emily loaded her final round. The longest shot yet. Conditions rougher now, the wind stronger, the light changing as clouds shifted overhead. By every standard, a no-go shot. But she didn't hesitate. The moment stretched. The wind dropped, just enough. And Emily fired. The target rocked, paper tearing dead center. The range, for a heartbeat, felt like it forgot to breathe. Colonel Talbot gave a slow nod. Not applause. Not praise. Just silent respect. And the man with the phone? His clip would be online within the hour. By sunset, the video had traveled. First through group chats, then veteran forums, then onto social feeds where hashtags like #QuietStrength and #RangeLegend began to spread. But what caught attention wasn't just the shot, it was the reaction. The way battle-tested men had stopped to watch. The look in Talbot's eyes. The unspoken understanding that this wasn't about gender, size, or story. It was about mastery. About dignity. The next morning, Emily returned, as usual, expecting nothing. Instead, she found a small crowd gathered. Local veterans. Young shooters inspired by the clip. Even strangers who'd driven out just to see the range where it happened. A few reporters waited by their vans, unsure who to approach. Emily didn't seek the spotlight. She tried to wave them off, focused on setting up as she always did. But Talbot was there too. Quiet as ever, he approached, offered no words of ceremony. Just placed a small pin in her hand, the emblem of his old unit. A gesture among those who understand. Not for show, not for headlines. Just respect. As the days passed, the story kept growing. Not because of Emily, she refused interviews, turned away invitations, but because those who'd witnessed it felt compelled to share. And across the country, the simple image spread, a small woman at the end of a dusty range, reminding everyone that true skill doesn't announce itself. It simply shows up and delivers when it matters. The days that followed brought something Emily never imagined. What began as a quiet morning on the range became a story shared in schools, veterans' halls, and community centers. The video, now viewed millions of times, wasn't just about shooting skill. It became a symbol, a reminder of quiet perseverance, of strength that asked for no audience. News outlets tried to reach her, eager for sound bites and headlines. Emily stayed silent, letting the clip speak for itself. She continued her routine, work, family, and visits to the range where she found peace. But every time she stepped onto the field, someone new was there to watch. Not out of curiosity, out of respect. Local leaders spoke of her in ceremonies honoring unsung heroes. Youth programs used her example to teach focus and resilience. Veterans, some who hadn't visited the range in years, returned, drawn by the reminder of what quiet dedication could mean. Colonel Talbot's pin stayed in Emily's pocket, not as a trophy, but as a promise. A promise to keep showing up, to keep doing the work, whether noticed or not. In time, the buzz faded. The world moved on, as it always does. But for those who had witnessed that day, for those who saw the clip and felt its message, the image remained, a lone figure at the far end of the range, steady, calm, and true. And now we ask you, what does quiet strength look like to you? Where do you see it in the world around you? Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and share your thoughts. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Everyday Quiet Heroes, and turn on notifications for more stories of courage, dignity, and silent heroism. Because sometimes, a single click helps a hero's voice be heard.